Welcome, fellow humans. Today I'm going to talk about vertigo. Not the movie, the actual problem. Many years ago, when I was in my 20s, I think, I was staying over at my then boyfriend's place, and I was tired, and I took a nap. And when I woke up, I was a little irritated in my ear, and I just put my finger up to deal with it, and I meant to just slightly touch in the ear, but my finger kind of slipped into my ear more than I intended. And then something terrible happened. And I could feel that my sense of balance was all messed up. And I removed my finger from my ear, but that did not fix it. And everything was spinning. Whenever I moved my head, even the slightest amount, everything was spinning and horrible. And I gave it a little bit of time, and it didn't go away. In my case, if I kept my head perfectly still, I was fine. This isn't true for everybody. Some people get vertigo where seeing other people move, or anything else move, will make them feel sick. But for me, it was only head movements. As long as my head was perfectly still, I was okay. But if I moved it at all, just a little bit, the vertigo was there, and it was terrible. And I realized I couldn't function like this, because I can't never move my head. I can't just stay in this one position for the rest of my life. And I was really, really concerned because clearly something had broken quite badly in me to have this terrible vertigo, and I was really worried that I had damaged my ear. And not knowing what else to do, I called my father because he is a doctor. And I told him what had happened, and he told me, never stick anything in your ear. And I was like, yes, I know that. I'm sorry. I had just woken up. I was sleepy. I wasn't thinking that clearly. I've already done that. What can we do now? He's like, never stick anything in your ear. I'm like, yes, thank you, Dad. But can we move past that now? And after he was done with the lecture, he told me that he was going to call in a prescription for a drug called Antivert, which can help with vertigo. And I was very, very pleased to hear that there was something that might help, because this was terrible. Unfortunately, though, this happened at night, and where I was, there weren't any accessible 24-hour pharmacies. So he was able to call in a prescription for me, but it wouldn't be able to be picked up until the next morning. And of course, I would not be able to pick it up. I would have no way to get there under my own power, but fortunately, my then boyfriend was fully willing to go to the pharmacy and get the prescription for me. So then I began the wait of living with vertigo because I couldn't treat it. And sure enough, it did not go away on its own. It lasted and lasted and lasted. And I just stayed in bed, not moving, for a long time. Fortunately, I was able to get back to sleep for part of it. And then I woke up in the morning, and my then boyfriend went off to the pharmacy to get my prescription. And I really needed to use the bathroom. And I was thinking to myself, it's going to take him some time because he has to go there by bicycle. Neither of us had a car. And he has to get the prescription. He has to come back with it. And I really need to use the bathroom. It's been a long time. But I can't move. I can't walk to a bathroom. So I've got two choices. I can hold it in until I get the prescription, and then it will probably take about a half an hour to take effect, because that's the typical time for most oral medications. I've been on some that take longer, but that is a pretty good estimate for a lot of drugs. Or I can try to walk despite the vertigo. And I weighed my options carefully, and I decided I'm not that desperate. I can hold it. So I did. And then my then boyfriend came back, and I took the pill, and then I waited and waited And then an amazingly wonderful thing happened. The medication worked. It was glorious. It became my then favorite medication. I've had some others that have benefited me even more, but getting rid of vertigo is wonderful. And then I was able to go to the bathroom, and it was wonderful because I really needed to. Since then, I've had several episodes of vertigo, although none as severe, and most of them don't last as long. Sometimes they're really annoyingly brief because I can't medicate them usefully if they're going to be brief and intermittent, although I prefer brief to lasting, I suppose. Other times they do seem to last longer, but now I know that there's a medication. Antivert is a prescription level of meclizine, not to be confused with mescaline, which is a completely different drug, but meclizine is a fairly common drug that you will find in some motion sickness medications. Not in the majority of them, because it's better at vertigo and there are some other drugs that are a bit better at motion sickness, but there's a lot of overlap between vertigo and motion sickness, and also nausea, so it's sometimes used for anti-nausea. And so I can get milder doses of meclizine over the counter, and I usually like to keep some at hand at home just in case I get vertigo. And I have found that usually the lower doses do work for me, so I can use just an over-the-counter treatment. And if it doesn't work, I know that there is an option if I contact a doctor. And that is great, because I do know someone who suffered through vertigo that lasted for days without knowing that there was a medication that could help. So vertigo is potentially treatable and really good to treat, because not moving your head at all is not a practical solution. Anyhow, that's my story, and if you liked it, please click like. If you know someone who might find it interesting, then by all means share. If you'd like more similar content, then subscribe. But most of all, if you have any thoughts, questions, or similar experiences, I would love to read your comments. Thank you.